Hello everybody, and welcome back. Hope you're all having yourselves a very good weekend so far. And today I bring to you a rather just kind of amusing replay of a rank battle that Aerial Ace 110 was in. Take a look at the team list. One battleship per team, one cruiser per team, and 5 destroyers a team. And out of the 10 total destroyers that are in the game, 5 of them are Shiratsuyus. So yeah, get ready. There are going to be a lot of torpedoes flying all around this particular match. Now, if you look at it, I mean, from a rank perspective, there's usually going to be even more torps compared to, let's say, randoms, just because of the proximity of the two caps to each other and, sort of generally where things are placed on the map. If you take a look at the two cap points, you'll notice that they're relatively close together compared to something like a random battle, where things are more spread out. And of course, the more concentrated the two caps that you're supposed to contest are, of course, the more intense the torpedoes are going to be. And yeah, you guys are gonna be in for a good one, at least in terms of just the sheer amount of torpedoes. And aside from the Shiratsuyus, on Ariel's team, there's 2 Sims and a Blisk, so they all have reasonable range torpedoes, assuming the Sims, of course, are packing the longer range set. And on the enemy team, you also have 2 Mahans, which is just a lot of torpedoes. And then you consider the fact that each team has a flint. There's not really gonna be that much gunning around, I think, except for maybe the 2 flints. Furthermore, the 1 lone battleship per team, I would not like to play as a battleship in this battle. Just look at this. Just look at the early exchange of torpedoes. There we go. You see them? It's just everywhere. Hold up. There we go. Ariel's gonna dodge this salvo. Incoming salvo on another axis. Luckily he's got a little bit of a gap there, so he dodges that too. More torpedoes coming. Just take a look at what's coming behind. Red triangles everywhere. Take a look at the map and you'll notice the battleship is just like, nope, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not surprised. I mean, if I was the battleship and I saw that, I'd just be like, nah, never mind. You guys can have your fun. I'll just hang out here and maybe I'll shoot at the cruiser or the battleship that pops up or something. Just crazy. Just a crazy amount of torpedoes at the opening volley there. And then, of course, you consider the fact that the Shiratsuyu, every single Shiratsuyu essentially has the same torpedo output every once in a while. The same torpedo output as, oh, actually, no, it's 1 more torpedo than what a Shimakaze can launch. And again, that much torpedoes in such a compact space is pretty terrifying. Of course, once the initial torpedo salvos are done, then the smoke fest begins. Just about every ship in this game, minus the 2 battleships, has smoke. This is one of those battles that you just look at and you're just like, yeah, that is kind of crazy. I wouldn't want to be in a battle like this. I mean, unless I was in a ship that actually had smoke plus radar, Belfast, for example. I wouldn't actually want to be in this. I mean, Flint's okay too. I mean, you do have the fast firing guns and the sonar and everything. You have your own smoke, which is pretty good. At least you can mess up some of the destroyers. Although Belfast, I think, would be nicer, but I guess they both have their strengths and weaknesses. So yeah, gets a couple shots in there on that destroyer, but that destroyer quickly gets out of detect. Now, unfortunately, in a game like this where you have so many destroyers, there's not much pushing going on. A lot of it's, well, there is some pushing, but it's a very, very slow kind of push. It's like you go a little bit forward, make sure you have some kind of torpedo spot, whether it's through hydro or somebody screening you, and then you just push forward a little bit. And positionally, Ariel's in a good place right now, behind this big island. So from that northern sort of direction, there's not going to be any torpedoes to worry about. The only directions he's really got to worry about is in front of him, and potentially a destroyer that sneaks in from the side and gets torpedoes off there. But there is a destroyer there covering that area for now, so should be nothing to really worry about. Enemy Mahan does something absolutely silly. No idea why you need to come out, Mahan. There's no point, because if you come out right now, you're going to get wrecked. I mean, just look at this. The Mahan comes out, Makes a bit of a mistake, tries to back into smoke, and dead. Done, finished, over. Yeah, see, in games like this, as a destroyer, you really got to be careful not to make these mistakes where you're a little bit overly aggressive, you come out, and you get caught essentially with your pants down. It's just not a good thing to do. In a battle like this, if you're a destroyer player, I mean, your priority number one is always to worry about things like cap or to, you know, screen for a team. Those are all more important things to do, and that Mahan, had he been smart, would have looked at the map and gone, huh, we still don't have the B cap, enemy team has that cap. They, you know, priority would have been to hide behind island around D6, maybe D7, get that cap secured, and then worry about everything else. Instead, Mahan decided, hell with it, I'm just going to go out, take a peek, and of course get absolutely stomped on by Flint and, well, a Ganai and other things. Just not a good play. Enemy Sharn also, in this particular battle, like, why are you coming out here? It doesn't make sense. You know, it just doesn't make sense to come out here because you are going to get shit on by a Flint. Okay, never mind just the Flint. You can get shit on by everything because you're out in the open with no cover. Well, the enemy team is either covered by smoke or covered by terrain, and just not a good place for that Sharn to come out. Ariel's Ganai is now making a move. Oh, and more torpedoes. Luckily for Ariel, most of these torpedoes are coming from the front, where he's already sort of bow in towards that area, so he's reasonably safe, and most of these torpedoes are going to miss. Had torpedoes been coming in from a side flank, might have made life a little bit more tricky. So Ganai's made a move now on the Sharn, and they're in a bit of a close range brawl there. There's torpedoes out from the Ganai against the Sharn, and ooh, does he clip him with those torpedoes? Nope. That was a miss there. Yeah, I think that Ganai's in trouble too. Although both battleships don't really last too long in this particular engagement. Yeah, the Ganai's going down first. All right, so rip that Ganai. More torpedoes. there's pretty much always torpedoes being flung in Ariel's direction in this battle. There we go. Bliss takes care of the Sharn, and so now enemy team no longer, well, both teams no longer have battleships. Now it's just a cruiser and 3 destroyers a pop. More torpedoes coming in from the front. See, in a situation like this where somebody's bow into you, might have been a little bit better to just drop as many as possible, you know, into that area, especially if the cruiser isn't really moving. Might be better to have done that, and maybe just hope for like a bow hit or something. But all in all, just not the best positions to really be dropping torpedoes. Enemy Shiratsuyus gets detected, but is close enough to be able to get behind that particular island. Alright, so enemy Flint now has come into range to be engaged, and Flint on Flint engagements. A lot of shooting, usually lots of shooting, but can occasionally lead to like the surprise torpedo. Flint torpedoes, they have a tendency sometimes of being able to surprise the enemy, just because they're long-range torpedoes. They tend to be not as fast, so sometimes it takes a while for them to show up, and you might think, oh, there's nothing really, and then suddenly you get torpedoes in your face. So, you know, we'll see if the torpedoes end up playing a bit of a role here at all. Enemy Flint is now also behind cover. Yeah, the 2 Flints, as you can tell, they really do spend quite a bit of time either in smoke or behind cover, and there's a good reason for that too. All right, torpedoes are spotted really early there. My guess is that Ariel actually had used, oh, actually there, he says it in chat, he's got Hydro up, so he's picked up those torpedoes. Strange that the hydroacoustic icon actually isn't on. So anyways, dodges that salvo from the Flint and sees the Flint's shots coming off. So Ariel just looking around, making sure that he's not going to get surprised by any of the other destroyers or anything like that. Just looking around, making sure his team is okay. And then the enemy Flint pops up again. Ariel turns his guns around. With the Flint, you know, the gun traverse is very, very good. The turret traverse, I mean, you know, you can get your guns onto target very quick. First salvo was HE, manages to get off an additional little bit of AP there, manages to get a Citadel. So that's some damage, although enemy Flint is once again in smoke. So Ariel temporarily turns attention quickly back onto the enemy destroyers. They are reasonably close, like 7-ish kilometers, 7.5 kilometers. So takes a look, decides to maybe pop a shot off before deciding to maybe go and chase that flint down. Manages to get a reasonably good salvo there, although not too many hits. Still got a couple of hits there. There we go, that's a better salvo. Alright, so now the enemy destroyer is behind that rock again. So Ariel's going to push in on to that enemy flint. However, I think at this particular point, Ariel's hydro might already be down. So this push is a little bit risky. If the enemy... Oh, geez, torpedoes from that flint. See, and that's the thing about these torpedoes. They can really pop up on you. And oh, it's just scraping down the side. All right, there we go. Managed to torpedo beat that. Good. Continue to push in, and is basically going to go for proxy detect. Now, the danger I said earlier is that if the enemy flint had actually had hydro, the enemy flint would have had the first maybe 1 or 2 shot advantage, because they would have been able to see Ariel before Ariel could see them, and I think that fight might have gone in a different direction, maybe. However, in this particular case, both flints ended up having to go into proxy spotting range of 2 kilometers, and then in that case, Ariel has the advantage, both in terms of slightly better positioning and being able to bring more guns to bear, and also the fact that Ariel had the support of a Sims, which was able to lend its firepower to that fight. So enemy flint goes down, Ariel gets into the enemy smoke right away in order to get off of detect, and the enemy destroyer can no longer keep shooting at him. Again, with only about just under 6,000 HP, a destroyer with its guns could actually take you down if it lands a couple of pretty solid hits with its guns. So yeah, would have made the fight a little bit closer potentially, but in this kind of situation, not really good for the enemy team. I mean, first of all, you'll lose your B cap, which is the only cap you have, and second of all, the enemy still has the flint, which is a huge amount of firepower, and as a destroyer, if you are unable to kill him off quickly, the flint is going to absolutely kill you. So fight is completely almost in Ariel Ace's team's favor. I mean, unless something really goes awry. I mean, there's always a chance, random detonation here or there, or who knows, But yeah, enemy destroyer south is getting chased by 2 destroyers right now. It's not a good fight. There's another torpedo warning there, but didn't really see those torpedoes, so that's okay. And then Ariel's just going to sit right here behind this island here at B. Mostly because if there's an enemy destroyer that comes in, one, he's going to be able to block cap, and the only way for the enemy team to potentially get this cap is to try to expose themselves and maybe kill him, which is not a good idea when you don't have anything bigger than the destroyer, and all the destroyers you have are basically Japanese destroyers. And of course, when you actually get onto the cap, you're also giving early warning to whatever ship is actually on the cap, as Ariel now knows, because the cap icon has gone from a square to a diamond, that now there's somebody on this cap that is contesting it, which is going to be one of the enemy destroyers. Furthermore, at this particular time, I think the enemy destroyers were a little bit just too spread apart. I mean, honestly, if the 2 Shiratsuyus were together and they both went for the same cap, I think they might have been able to kill Ariel, maybe even take the cap, but they really did split off a little bit too much. Shiratsuyu in front, comes out, and Ariel pops his hydro. No escape possible for that Shiratsuyu. Now it is just fight to the death. Really, I think that Shiratsuyu might have tried to be a bit more aggressive if possible. I mean, just the whole pop smoke, launch torpedoes, and basically sailing broadside in order to get those torpedoes off. Not really all that good of an idea. Might have done better just being a little bit more aggressive. Maybe instead of running away, having hugged the island a little bit closer, came out more of a point-blank range dropping torpedoes. Or maybe even if you're getting gunned, just dodge and weave a little bit more aggressively and try to avoid as many hits as possible and firing your guns in return. Anyways, folks, hope you enjoyed this ranked replay with all these destroyers. Again, have yourselves a really good weekend, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you again soon.